So I hope this is visible.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. First of all, heartfelt gratitude to Tree and the Critical Circle team to invite us and give us an opportunity to share with the rest of the world what is happening and what are basically the challenges and the opportunities of online learning system. So I am representing Vardishnu. We are a 7-year-old not-for-profit started in 2013 with a vision that one day every child will have a safe, secure and a happy childhood. So we run some community interventions in the state where I live uh, for specifically street children, for those who collect rag, for those who work as a child labor, and these are basically the children who are considered as a come from the segment of the poorest of the poor of the families. So what I was think when I was thinking about this topic and thinking about what are the opportunities and the challenges, so I thought that I'll talk about more from the perspective of data, which is currently available online from the government's website, so that it have an authenticity and we can understand the issue more correctly. So the first case was registered on the 31st of January 2020 in India. And since then, the momentum was continuously building. So on the 16th of March, the government regularized the schools to temporarily shut down their operations. And on 22nd March, we had a one-day nationwide lockdown, and international flights got cancelled until the next order. And from 25th of March, we went into the phased lockdown. So we had about 4 phases of lockdown between 25th of March to 31st of May, where there was restrictions about on interstate travel. People cannot come together or gather, conduct any sort of a social function, political, religious function. And from June 1st, the government started issuing the regulations for which is called as an Unlock 1. Uh, Economy was completely standstill between all those period. People were facing financial crunches, so there was on the other hand a need to restart the operations step by step, so that it won't affect much on the economy, though our GDP was minus 29% for the last quarter. So we are in the phase 4 of the unlock right now. And as of 25th of September, we have about 5.82 million COVID cases. We are second in the world after USA. Every day we are having about 80 to 90,000 cases and 2 to 3,000 deaths throughout the country. About 4.70 lakh million people have already recovered, and we have seen about 92,000 plus counting deaths in last couple of months. So these are some of the facts about the COVID. Now let's look at some of the facts about the topic which we are going to discuss further. So in terms of education, India have the second largest schooling system with about 1.5 million schools in which 250 million children are enrolled. So now with this we have 3 types of schools in India. Well, first one are the government schools. The second are the government school, private schools, but which are government aided. So government gives aid grants to these schools to partially manage their expenses. And then we have private schools. How these schools are divided? So we have about 72% government schools, we have 5.5% government aided private schools, and we have 26% private schools which are completely unaided by the government, which are run on the fees collected from the parents of the students. So when we see that we have about 72 to 75% of government plus government aided school, uh, it is quite visible that maybe a larger chunk of the Indian children are dependent on the government schooling system for their education. Whereas the fact is the 22% private sector caters to 40% children, whereas 75% government schools cater to only 60% of the children. And this is the data collected from the Ministry of Human Resource and Development Department of the Government of India. Now, when the COVID started and schools were closed, both of this sector responded differently to the situation. So let's look at one by one about how the private sector reacted to the COVID. So the people who usually go to the private school are come from the children from middle class, upper middle class, and elites. The fees varies from according to the type of infrastructure a school is providing, city in which the school is located, and the school varies from basically $1,000 a year to 10 to 15,000 a year dollar per year. Now, when lockdown happened, these schools immediately started online classes. Children were forced to sit in front of their laptops and their computers for about 4 to 5 hours a day. Teachers were actively calling parents to make sure that children are attending the sessions, they are collecting the presentee. The presentee is being shared with the parents of the schools. And we also see a huge surge in the usage of the online learning platforms such as Byju's and Unacademy. These are the apps and the web hosting, which basically shares the online sessions, very well furnished sessions, look like a high class Hollywood movie with the graphics and the things which are being used in the $1 million movie per se. Now, interestingly, this Byju and Unacademy charge about 10,000 cost of about $1,000 to $5,000 per year per child. So the basic, so we can easily see that the people who can afford to pay such kind of a fees also, of course, they also started the crash courses to make sure that they are covering larger topics in a very small period of time. But the people who can afford to pay their children, for them, the education continued. The education kept going. Now, let's see about what happened to the government sector. Now, who goes to the government sector? These are the children who come from the economically disadvantaged background, who lives in the rural and the tribal parts of the country, who attend the government schools, which are day schools, and some of them are residential schools. Very well, very good schools providing quality education, not only on focusing on the infrastructure in which they conduct the sessions. Now, when this COVID started, what happened is some of the teachers from the government schools were given a responsibility to go door by door to collect the data about the active COVID patients, because we had seen that there is a sort of a taboo related to the COVID right now, that people are not coming out openly to say that yes, I have been infected with the COVID and I need to go to the to get the medical treatment. So these teachers given the responsibility to go door to door and collect the data for some time. Government also started strengthening the apps, which is the Diksha is one of the online platform run by the government of India, which have the all state boards curriculum in there, and which provides an educational which have the host educational content and is available to free of cost to all of the children. The government also used the local language regional language channels. So like in Maharashtra, we talk Marathi. So the government of Maharashtra coordinated and collaborated with the local regional challenge to run the academical program. So they published a schedule from standard 1 to 10th every day, every one particular lecture about the one particular topic. They used radio also. Some of the government teachers also, like we can see in the painting, which is a photo which is on our right hand, they painted the outer side walls or the walls in their villages to make sure that the children are keep learning. As I said, that we are in the phase 4 right now. It looks like the schools will not reopen till 15th of November in India, and we are not even sure that whether they will be open by after that, because the rising cases of the COVID. So for the government education system, there were certain challenges. But now when we come out to the online learning, India have a long way to go. And now let me quote the data collected from the National Sample Survey published in 2017-18 by the Government of India. Only 24% Indians owns the smartphone. Even those, only 11% of the household possess any type of a computer, whether it's a desktop or a laptop. Now we are talking about children attending online classes for 5 hours every day. They cannot look at this 5-inch screen of the tablet or the mobile. They need a laptop. They need a device in front of them from which they can sit in at least a substantial distance, so that they will not damage their eyes, because we have seen that there are increasing cases of children complaining eye problems, and which has been documented. Now, only 24% Indian households have an active internet facility. This amount also reduces when we talk about the poorest households. These are the children who goes into the private school. These are the children who are 60% population of the current school going children. Only 2.7% have access to computer, and 8.9% have access to the internet facilities. This also, now the internet facility like Indonesia is not spread evenly. We can look at the photo which is in the right hand. The photo was clicked in one of the tribal villages where the girl she lives in a tribal village. There was no internet connectivity, so she have to walk the hill to get the internet signal. And it was the monsoons in India, so her brother built a small shed for her on the top of the hill so that she can sit and she can learn. Now with this, what happened is, for most of the Indian students, education stops completely. Why was it? The first one was because, as I said, that lack of the resources. Not many children have the computers, smartphones, active internet connection. Their parents do not have the money, because there is no livelihood available for about 3.5 months for the people who works in an unorganized sector. Then if we talk about the geography, unlike internet, about 46% of the Indian household who lives in the rural area receives electricity for only 8 hours a day. So 54% are living in even less of the electricity available to them. Now, when the lockdown happened, and as most of the population is basically segregated, concentrated in metro cities, they started remigrating to their villages. And just taking an example that it is quote that the migration happened post the partition of India and Pakistan was the biggest ever in the history of humankind. Now, according to some of the statistics, the migration happened post lockdown was even bigger than that. If we talk about a city of Mumbai, which is a financial capital of India, it is assumed that 20% people migrated back to their villages. Now, Mumbai's population is about 2 crores, which is 20 millions. Now, if we say that 20% people migrated back to their village, it means we're talking about 4 million people. And it was not the case of Mumbai; it was the case of throughout the India. So, what about the children who migrated with their parents to their villages? Then it was also about the mindset and the priorities of the parents. Now, when there was no food at home to live, to feed, children were forced to beg on the streets and work as the laborers. And when we look at all of these things, it is clearly not about the access, it is about the privilege. It is about the socio-economical condition in which you are born into. It decides whether you will get the education or you will not get the education. Now, where it leads? In the state of Kerala, between 25th March to the 11th July, 66 children committed suicide. According to some of the statistics, there are 300 suicides committed by the children in past 6 months post the lockdown. Why this happens? Majority of children took their life at the very tender age of 8, 9 or 10 because they do not have the infrastructure to attend online education. Some of the children committed suicide, like in the city where I live, a 16-year-old girl took her life because she had no food to feed her younger brothers. Where it is leading to, I mean, According to an article published in a Made, out-of-school children are likely to double in India post-COVID lockdown. There is 20% increase in girl lockdown. 33% girls are missing online classes in Delhi, according to the Education Minister of Delhi State of Delhi, which is the capital of India. Now, the child line, which is a line to support the children who are in distress, claim that they received 92,000 calls in just 1 week of the lockdown. The post that, usually they get average 2 lakh calls. Post that 1 week, they used to get about 3 lakhs call a week from the children, or from the people who are basically calling Childline to support the children who are in stress. A Pornhub, which is a porn site, recorded that there is a 2% hike in the people searching for child pornography in India in the first week of the lockdown. The cases called to the Childline recorded said that 20% were regarding protection from the abuse and 5% regarding child marriages. In India, the legal age for a girl is 18 and for a boy is 21. But there were cases where the girls were forced to get married at the age of 14, 15, or even 13. This is what is happening. This is what it leads to. And now let's look at the children. This is all we talked about, the children who were already part of the education system. What happened in India is that we immediately started talking about online education, but to forget a very critical fact that there are almost 4.3 million child laborers according to the census of 2011 published by the government of India. These 4.3 million children, majority of them are not even part of the education system. Now, when we talk about the schools, even Fellomi and the previous, basically the founder of the Critical Circle, very clearly said that schools do not only provide the academics, or they are not about the sessions. For most of the children, they are the safest place. For most of the children, they provide an equal opportunity. Now, what about these children? We work with out-of-school children in the state of Maharashtra. We know that it takes months to get them to the informal learning centers and even have inculcated an habit to sit at a place. These children do not have smartphones. These children education is not a priority. And now we have completely missed out this chunk, which is a very big chunk. And according to some of the stats, I said that there are about 250 million children are learning in the schools. According to some statistics, about 1 crore, which is about 10 million, will be dropped out, which is an official statement. But according to the very reputed organizations, the number could be between 40 to 50 million. This is the problem which we are talking about. Now, what is the way ahead? I mean, what we can do? This is the problem we have. We cannot say that as many children are not privileged enough to receive the quality education, the private sector will say that then should we stop the education for the others also? This is not going to happen. So what is the way ahead? There have been some instances where people have started distributing tablets and the smartphones to the children living in the community so that they can attend the sessions. This also talked a very immense need about the community interventions, the community intervention specifically catering to the economically disadvantaged people. Schools need to collaborate with the local NGOs and community leaders to track out-of-school children. As I have mentioned, that many children have already went to the villages. Many children have already gone to the places where their parents live, and there are very few chances that they will come back to the metro cities. So we need to trace these children and make sure that they are becoming a part of the education system. Now, there is also need to support low cost or free of cost online interventions. Like some of my friends started a vSchool platform, which is an online learning platform, which have the academical session from standard 1 to standard 10 available to free of cost. Now they piloted this in one of the districts in Maharashtra, and they have for about 500,000 users in the first week of the intervention. And this is the recorded users. In A, we have seen that 4 to 5 children use one smartphone because lack of the infrastructure available. So the number could be even higher. So we need to support this sort of an intervention in the upcoming days. I mean, The COVID has really changed the reality in which we all live. Uh, it has been said, it has been talked a lot about. As I said, it's not the question about where we are right now, but the question is where we are heading. Mahatma Gandhi, sometime about 70 years ago, gave us a talisman where he said that we need to think about the poorest of the poor before we take any step, and ask ourselves that will it help in gaining control of his or her own life. Well, in what we have learned in past 6 months is that we have not think of them at all. So the schools, again, the schools are not about only education, they are about developing social skills that help in reducing disparities. We have seen that disparity, the financial disparity, religious disparity, and we are going to witness the educational disparity. So if we learn anything from this pandemic and went back to the poorest of the poor, hold their hand and take them into this circle, this has given us an opportunity to basically redefine the social structures in which we live and in which we would like to raise our kids. So if we learn anything for the pandemic, then I think we deserve to be sustained. Otherwise, we deserve to be doomed. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity and listening to me very patiently. Thanks a lot.